Faith and growth mindset. One of the theoretical frameworks for my dissertation, published in 2019, was mindset theory or growth mindset. So I wanted to integrate it with my faith. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. Even Jesus increased in wisdom. God gave us 150 billion brain cells with over 10,000 connections per cell for memory and thought. And every time you form memory, there are new connections being made. So this is how your brain becomes smarter. When you try and learn and try to remember and try to figure things out, there are little branches reaching out from your neurons, connecting to other neurons, and you're actually becoming a faster computer. So life and school are really a gym for your mind. Make it stronger. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. So there's a lot of biblical concepts like forgetting what is behind and not resting on your laurels, but moving forward. The Apostle Paul, had a lot to be proud of, but he considered it all dung in God's glory. Getting a degree, for example, is not the end of learning, but just the beginning of lifelong learning. The Bible tells us all these things like to become like little children, humble and teachable. Here's a cute little cartoon. Shows a little character trying to learn math and being really afraid and scared because he wasn't sure if she was smart enough. So here's compare and contrast growth and fixed mindset. Carol Dweck came up with these concepts, and she's out of Stanford. So the definition, fixed means your intelligence is fixed. You can't increase it or decrease it much. Growth mind says that ability is malleable, changeable, can be developed. The results of believing a fixed mindset is that effort is bad. If you're smart, you shouldn't have to work that hard. But growth mindset doesn't think about that. Effort is good. It's how you get smarter. Motivation in school. What matters more is looking smart, so you don't want to try too hard. Try things that are difficult and maybe prove that you're not smart enough. And you want to just prove you're smart, whereas in growth mindset, what matters is learning. So you pick the harder problems and you try the harder assignments. The responses is a setback for the fixed mindset and feel helpless. Sometimes, especially when they hit college and they've got more competition. In high school, they sailed through without much effort, but then suddenly they hit some difficult things and they say, well, maybe I don't have what it takes. Whereas growth mindset says, okay, here's an area I need to improve in, I need to get stronger in, and I need to work harder in. And again, failure for a fixed mindset might mean the end of the story, time to give up. And there are times when maybe you should give up on certain things, when you maybe could better use your time developing other areas of your life. If you're 5'3" and 180 pounds, you probably won't be an NFL lineman, but that's not the end of the world by any means. Whereas the growth mindset, it's win or learn, not win or lose, and it's the beginning of this story. Time to try again. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Persistence. Grit is looking towards a long-term goal and sticking to it. And growth mindset helps with grit because you believe that you could improve and get better if you keep working on things. But aren't some people born gifted, with musical talent or physical talent? Sure, there are people who are born bigger and faster, but they still have to practice to get better or to improve, and they may have a head start. Now, if it's in areas that everyone needs, such as basic math, then don't give up, because you're going to need that. And so you may have to work a little harder than for someone who it comes more easily. One of the worst things a parent can tell a kid is, oh yeah, I wasn't very good in math either, you won't be, So it puts them into a fixed mindset instead of saying, I should have tried harder, I could have done better in math. And maybe you don't have it yet, but I think you'll get it with more time and effort. So again, it's looking to develop gifts. Even Jesus grew in wisdom. We're to grow in faith, in Christ-likeness. Those who are given much are expected to do more. So just because you have a head start doesn't mean you should just cruise and coast. One of the other issues is that what about for a whole group of people who are behind in subject? Should they then be given easier tests and so forth? Well, the thing is, they really need to be given more help, more practice, so they can catch up. If they're going to play a certain sport, you're not going to make the 100-meter dash 90 meters for them. They're going to still have to run 100 meters. So you need to build up and do concentrated, focused practice. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So the humble have a growth mindset. The meek are teachable. I can do all things through Christ. These are all growth mindset concepts. With God, anything is possible. Not to the point where you say, I'm going to give up and let God do it all, but that I believe that God has put me in a position where I can do what He's asked me to do, and it may take some work, but I got to focus on improving. Study to show yourself approved, striving on to reach the prize. God often used the weak and lowly, from the boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish to David, the youngest, and Gideon. So God takes some pleasure in using the little guy to confound the big smart ones. How do students define success? Well, the fixed mindset is being smart. The growth mindset is getting smarter. If you are wanting to prove you're smart, you don't risk failure. You deny negative feedback. You get very defensive. You're not very coachable. You're looking for recognition, external approval. You're staying with the safe challenges. You're focusing on the product rather than the process. But getting smarter is striving, appreciating negative feedback. Thank you, coach. I'll work on that. Looking for a challenge to push yourself. Taking all the hardest classes, never being satisfied. Focusing on the process rather than the end product. And this profoundly affects one's view of life in relationships, in school, in work, in sports, you name it. What do you say to yourself? Well, I don't know my true potential. I may be much better at this, have capacity for this than I think. Smart means I'm able to learn. Let's go. Success is learning something I didn't know or couldn't do before. If at first I don't succeed, I need to try again. Looking at how I can improve. Success is working long and figuring it out. Getting pleasure out of pressing through a problem and winning at the end. Confronting a challenge and making progress. Work with mistakes to learn and grow. Fixed mindset. Comments from the teacher. You learn that so quickly. You're really smart. They tell the teachers, now don't tell kids you're smart. Don't tell them some fixed trait. Wow, you're really a genius. You're a Picasso or whatever. Or you're brilliant. You learn that without even studying. Or that on the negative side, math is not your strong suit, but you are a great reader, so causing the child to give up on an area when they really need to keep going. But the student will then internalize those things. If I don't learn quickly, I must not be smart. If I am not able to learn without studying, I should be able to learn without studying. If I can't, there's something wrong with me. Or finally, the math, I should give up on learning math because it's hard and I can't do it. But growth mindset, wow, you tried all kinds of strategies on that math problem until you finally got it. Good for you. Praising the process, praising persistence. It's okay to make mistakes and struggle. The teachers can do mastery assignments where if the student messes up on something or doesn't quite get it, they can go back and fix it until they all get it. And it may take them longer, but then they can all get the A. You look really challenged. You took on a really challenging science project. It'll take a lot of work. You're going to learn a lot of great things. So engaging in challenges is a good idea, worthwhile. That homework was so long and involved. I really admire the way you concentrated and finished it. And the student thinks, well, I can complete challenging tasks, and they begin to have a confidence in their ability to learn and persevere. Everyone learns in a different way. Let's keep trying to find the way that works best for you. So, trying a different angle on a topic, and not just saying I'm stupid, but need to just keep working until we find what works best for me. And this is kind of especially important in special ed too, by the way, where kids do have more challenges and not as much to work with, but they still can make progress. Words to avoid. You're so smart. The next Picasso. You're so brilliant. You get A's without studying. You're fast. You're perfect. And then the child worries that they won't be perfect, or they need to keep that image, you might say. So I hope you're getting the idea here. Enhancing growth mindsets show that speed and perfection are the enemies of real learning. So sometimes when teachers do reviews, if they just get the fastest kids that answer the question and move on, it's better if they have small groups and each group discusses the answer and hopefully comes to the right one, and they have a little more time to think more deeply. So praise effort, practice study, use of strategies. Praise choice. I took a challenge instead of took the easy way out. Share stories of effort, persistence, and struggle. Deal with failure as productive rather than irrelevant. Coach in self-directed challenge. So, whatever happened to the coachable athlete? On a side note, because of fixed mindset, I believe, a third to almost half of students feel too depressed to function. They're locked down. They've hit that wall. 25% seriously considered suicide. This is a couple of years ago, but it's quite a bit up from previous years. Fear of failure, of not being perfect or good enough. They're real psychological issues and may need treatment and professional counseling or some kind of medication, but it's wise to seek professional advice. Growth mindset sees challenges as gifts and failures as normal part of the growth process, a way to learn and get better. And if teachers and parents look at it the same way and they don't punish the child for making a mistake, instead they reward them for making the mistake and moving on. I sometimes say to my class, thank you for that question. That's not the way we were going to go, but that question helps us to know a better way to go. Thank you. Grit and growth mindset. Duckworth, in her book entitled Grit, defines grit as constant self-control toward a long-term goal. For academic success, you need self-control to stay on the path to achieve your goals. Don't let anything get in the way of your goal. And growth mindset gives you the optimism that you can get smart enough and you can improve in whatever is needed to achieve your goals. Goals need to be clear and motivating, worthwhile. My dissertation kind of showed that you want something that has some social status, makes some money, is for a higher cause, and is interesting, and it's really worthwhile for teachers to take time at the beginning of every year or every semester to have the students think about their career goals, especially ones that will involve higher education, so that they will value secondary education. If you're not going to college, who needs high school, they say. Whereas in reality, if you're not going to college, you need high school twice as much because the college kids will learn it all again. In any case, so it's nice to take career interest surveys and find interesting careers for them to aim for. If they say, well, I wanted to do this great thing, and you think that, I don't know, let them go for it. And they can always downgrade their goals later and change their career goals later, but if they aim too low to start with, they'll never be able to upgrade them. So I hope you got something out of this, and feel free to comment and ask questions. Thank you. Fun little last slide. Here's my youngest brother and myself on the left. There's 5 of us siblings. Preston thought he was the dummy in middle school, the slow reading group in class. He recalls me telling me he could do more. He then became a Gordon College valedictorian and a PhD, and is actually world-renowned for his research in heart disease. So I'm glad I had a summer with him before I went overseas to Pakistan for a while to encourage him to really grow. I didn't know about growth mindset back then, but apparently I inadvertently got him going.